Okay, let's talk about Dexter Season 1, Episode 4. Let's get started. All right, as I get started here, I want to thank everybody who's been watching my videos. Hit the subscribe button down below, and you will be notified when new videos go up. Today, we're going to be talking about Dexter Season 1, Episode 4. There's a lot that goes on in this episode. So we're going to talk about Dexter and Rita, we're going to talk about Angel Batista, and we are going to talk about Dokes a little bit, and we're going to talk about the ice truck killer. The ice truck killer is the big portion of this episode. Well, we get a little bit of background on Angel Batista in this episode. Didn't see much of him or know much about his background in the first few episodes. We get a little hints here and there, but in this one, we finally find out that he actually is separated from his wife. I believe their 10th anniversary is coming up, and throughout this episode, he's asking different people at the department to kind of look at this necklace that he bought for his wife. Well, he ends up going to his home with his wife and tries to kind of reconcile with her. She's not comfortable with that because he had apparently cheated on her. So he ends up asking to see their daughter, and he leaves the necklace for his daughter. It's kind of a touching moment. And then he leaves. So we find out that Angel Batista has had kind of not a sketchy background, but he's had some difficulties with his marriage. All right, so let's talk about Dokes. You find out in this episode that Dokes is still being targeted by Guerrero's men. This is after other people in the police department actually were trying to antagonize Guerrero's men. This falls back on Dokes, and he actually gets kidnapped in this episode. And right before he's about to get killed, these other cops sweep in, save Dokes, and you find out this was all set up from the beginning to get Guerrero. Yes, that cop is still upset with Dokes for sleeping with his sister, but this is all pretty much a setup to get Guerrero. Now, in this episode, we don't have anything to do with Dexter searching for anybody to kill, so he has no new victims in this episode. So let's talk about Dexter and Rita. There's a little bit of growth in their overall story arc in this episode. Starts out with Dexter helping her kids carve a pumpkin. It's Halloween, and he goes on to talk about the strange dynamic he has with the Halloween season, how he's a monster on the inside all the time and he's trying to hide it, and everyone else at Halloween is trying to be a monster and try to hide the good side of themselves. So it's just the opposite for him. And it's kind of an interesting dynamic. Now we find out that there is a barking dog next door that is really upsetting their family. They can't sleep. It's causing a lot of problems. So Dexter goes over there, and the neighbor is extremely rude. So then Rita tries to go over there and reason with this individual, and it isn't happening. Later on, she takes that dog and gives it to a family far away looking for a dog so that she solves the problem for everybody. This kind of puts her on a high, doing something she wouldn't normally do. At the beginning, when Dexter and Rita are at a Halloween store, Dexter's trying to get her to take kind of a witch costume. She says, no, I want to be a princess. I'm always a princess. So she ends up later on surprising Dexter when he's at home with a costume from Tomb Raider, and actually ends up kind of pleasuring Dexter on the side. He's kind of relieved at that because he doesn't want to have actual sex, so he kind of just lets her do her thing with him. So that's all we have for Dexter and Rita in this episode. Now let's talk about the ice truck killer. There's a lot of movement forward with this storyline. This episode starts out with them finding a hand on the beach with blood, which is not the ice truck killer's regular MO. And it's staged like a photo from something that Dexter remembers from his childhood. Dexter at this point has a memory where his dad is teaching him how to fake emotions. They find out later that this hand belongs to Stanley Tucci, who they thought was the ice truck killer. This is proving that he is not, in fact, the ice truck killer, just like Deborah had suspected. At this stage, LaGuerta is reprimanded by her boss, and she has to go visit Tucci's mother to kind of help litigate the fallout. When LaGuerta is there, she promises to find her son's body. Then they find another body part, a foot, and at that stage, LaGuerta forces Deborah to watch every frame of video from where that foot was found from the video surveillance so that they can kind of garner some kind of information to see if they can find this person. She's under a lot of stress now that we find out that the killer is not Tucci, that he was actually kidnapped and is being used. Dexter at this point realizes by examining this foot that Tucci is actually still alive, and body parts are being cut off little by little and being staged at these different crime scenes. LaGuerta at that point is very relieved to find out that he's actually alive and calls his mom to tell her the good news. Dexter is then looking through old photos at home to try and figure out where the next stop is going to be for the ice truck killer. And he kind of figures it out. The ice truck killer actually left him kind of a calling card in the photos. So Dexter knows to go to this old hospital that was closed down many years ago. And in this hospital, Dexter finds Tucci on a table ready to be killed. He's begging for his life to be taken for all the body parts that have been cut off of him. And Dexter realizes that the ice truck killer left this scene like this so that Dexter would be kind of, forced to kill him, to want that urge to come out. Well, Dexter stops that urge because he knows that's not what his father taught him. We get a small glimpse of the ice truck killer as he leaves the hospital, but he's all just it's just a shadow, so we don't actually get to see him. At that point, Deborah is back at the force going through the footage, and she actually gets a message to go to that hospital, and she wants to know who left the message. We never find out. It had to have been the ice truck killer. So Deborah ends up taking credit for finding Tucci, and that's kind of how this episode ends. So the ice truck killer is playing a game with not just Dexter now, but also with Deborah. So we're going to find out what happens in the next episode very soon. Again, hit that subscribe button and be notified whenever a new video goes up. I'll be recapping every episode up until the release of the new season next year about this time. Thank you for watching.